Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it. It's a road show on Friday. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel back at our ESPN studios. We are in just a beautiful part of the world here in the Great Smoky Mountains. We are in Western Carolina, just west of Bryson City, and we're doing the show from Dino Schmidt, cousin Dino Schmidt's kitchen table. As I look out to my right, beautiful Smoky Mountains. To my south, surrounded by mountains, and I even have a mason jar and a little something in that mason jar to get through the show. So I'm going to just be completely blunt with you on that. Excited to spend a few couple hours here and talk some Nebraska football with you, and more excited to be here with family and friends and dear loved ones as we're here to give cousin Dino, a Husker fan you want to meet, maybe some of you have met, a big old hug. And numbers to get in today, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Can email Chris at HailVarsity.com. Give us a follow. Find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio or at Herbal Essence for Elijah Herbel. Elijah, how are you doing, man? You were able to navigate two other shows today with the Morning Hookup and, of course, KFOR, and sneak in a couple of finals this week. Have you been able to exhale this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling, like, great right now. It's like the weight of the world off my shoulders with finals being done. Like, I'm just peachy being in here working. Like, give me all the hours you want, because it's better than school.
It's better than school. You can quote Elijah Herbel on that. We'll dive into some Nebraska football. Derek Peterson with us from Hail Varsity. He is coming up here at 4:25 Central. We'll check in with the Pride of Fairbury, and many kudos and thanks to Bill Doleman for sitting in yesterday while I was traveling out here with Joe Mama and Uncle Mark here to Bryson City. So Bill Doleman got back in his chair and had a fun Hail Varsity / Average Joe reunion yesterday. We'll spend time in hour 2 with Eric Warfield, Hall of Fame Husker, standout Kansas City Chief, and get his take on Nebraska spring football and where the Kansas City Chiefs are at after their off-season acquisitions and draft. So a lot to get into. Scott Frost spent time with the Husker Network last night in his hour-long interview and his sit-down, kind of reassessing the spring, some things that he's talked about and said before, and some new insights, specifically kind of a final decision, if you want my honest opinion, on where they're at with the Husker quarterback spot. You guys don't have to whisper. We just don't swear. We've got a kitchen full of family here. So, Elijah, let's play what Nick Saban had to say. And I want to kind of relate this to Nebraska football as Husker fans look at the schedule. So Saban's was out. He's done a couple of golf tournaments. And Jimbo Fisher, his former assistant at LSU, is already chirping. A&M's going to have a good team. And as the way that Jimbo Fisher put it, well, we're going to beat Saban's ass. We shall see. Here is Nick Saban's response to that threat by former assistant Jimbo Fisher.
Word that he used, but did you have any response for that?
In golf?
I think he meant on the football field.
Well, I'm sure there'll come a day, But is that what you're talking about?
No,
football?
He was talking about football.
Oh, he was? He used to be on my noontime basketball league, I guess. We're no longer partners, when it comes to that. Coach. Now, they have a really good team. really good program, and they're getting better and better all the time. And there's a lot of challenges in the SEC, and they're certainly one of the up-and-coming programs. And he's always been a great coach. He did a great job for us when he was with us, and he's had a great career as a head coach. So, it's going to be a challenge for us, no doubt, when we have to play him.
So Nick Saban was kind, but he's like, what, is he going to beat me in golf? I'm going to pat A&M on the head here and say, yeah, they're an up-and-coming program. I know they finished in the top 10, but they haven't done it consistently, and we'll see. Saban was kind of taken aback by that, I think, as I want to kind of relate it to Nebraska football as we look at the schedule, Elijah. There's just some teams on Nebraska's schedule, as difficult as 2021 is, that I think a lot of Nebraska fans feel like Nebraska needs to hand out a butt kicking to some of these teams on the schedule. Are they going to be in position to do that here next season as they try and get better? But there's really no negotiation here. And as we look at 2021, who are some teams on that schedule, or what team do you feel like, Nebraska has to beat, it's time to beat? There's some obvious teams that Nebraska's favored over, but there's also some teams that, the way Nebraska's navigated the Big Ten here the past 3 seasons, nothing's guaranteed. It's been a fight to just get a win over an Illinois or get a win over a Purdue or, beat Minnesota. I mean, nothing's obviously guaranteed. Nothing's given. And right now, Nebraska's on that lower end of the Big Ten as they try and fight forward. To me, it's real simple. And there's other games you can circle. But for this season to get off on the right foot, it truly does have to get off with a win in Champaign on week 0 against Illinois. I don't care if it's 3 points. I don't care if it's 30 points. You'll feel great if it's 30. But Nebraska's got to beat that old nemesis that used to be wearing Badger red in Wisconsin and Brett Bielema. They've got to beat Illinois. If I'm going to say, okay, who's Nebraska got to beat in 2021, clearly you have Jimbo Fisher feeling his oats a little bit with how his team is. And he's like, yeah, we're going to beat Saban's ass. Well, great. Be confident. I know they put 30 people into the NFL first round, it felt like. You still got to go do it. Nebraska has to go do this. Otherwise, it just gets really ugly really quick here in Lincoln without a win in Champaign.
I mean, remember a time whenever you'd look at Nebraska's schedule in May and go, okay, well, there's at least 8 wins I can see right there. I mean, you have to go back as far as Pelini. I mean, and that's the point that Bama's at. They look at their 12 games every single year and go, all right, we can go 12-0. And so some
who's going to scare us, right?
Yeah, some Husker fans out there might be saying, who should I be expecting Nebraska to be? I'm just praying that they get to 6 wins. Some people out there are like that, but to take that next step, there's got to be just games that you have to get a win in this year in order to get to progress with this program. And the game I look at is the game against Iowa. You've got them at home again. You're on, a 7-game losing streak against the Iowa Hawkeyes, something ridiculous like that. It is time to finally beat Iowa. If you can't do it this year, where's the proof that you are making that step? If Nebraska wants to be at the point where they're, living up to expectations, that's a point where more years than not they are beating Iowa, because Iowa's ceiling really they're always around that top 25, sometimes up in the top 25, never usually up in that top 10. And that's where Nebraska fans want to be too. They want to be up in that top 20 range, maybe not top 10 every single year, but that's where they want to be. And I think to get there, the first step is just consistently be able to beat a team who is there right now, and that's Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa's really a measuring stick, as is Wisconsin. If you can take down one of those two or both, you're probably going to win the West, right? And in years past, Northwestern, if you're a team that's beaten a Northwestern team that's gone to 2 of the last 3 Big Ten championship games, your season's been okay. Nebraska's got a lot of these. And you talk to coaches, and they say you got to beat teams that look like you, right? And Iowa looks like Nebraska. Wisconsin kind of looks like Nebraska. Michigan State looks like Nebraska. Northwestern looks like Nebraska. Illinois, Purdue. I mean, Nebraska fans still, and it's okay because I still can't wrap my head around it. You feel like it should be an automatic that you beat Purdue and you beat Illinois and you beat Minnesota, and that's not been the case. That's not been the case since joining the Big Ten. And Iowa's, I mean, you got to go back to 2014, the last time you beat them. You haven't been within, when's the last time you've been within 10 points of Wisconsin? Probably the overtime loss there in 2016, right? I mean, you played Wisconsin better, but they still beat you by 17 to 21 points each time. You know, we'll get into this with Derek Peterson here when it comes to showing progress and the offense specifically. You know, what does a good offense look like? And that's beyond the penalties and turnovers, right? I mean, that's a given, and that's not been an automatic for Nebraska, obviously. But I'm interested to get his take on things. But, you know, who's the team Nebraska's just got to beat in 2021? Is it Illinois for you? What's kind of that telling victory? I'm not even going to get into Ohio State. You know, for me, when I look at Nebraska's schedule, I think you got to beat Illinois. You need to be 3-0 on the way to Oklahoma. You need to beat Michigan State if you lose at Oklahoma. That'll tell me a lot about this football team, Elijah, what Nebraska looks like against Michigan State after Oklahoma. And then you've got a 4-game stretch, Northwestern, Michigan, at Minnesota, Purdue. You got to be able to emerge out of that 3-1, in my humble opinion. And I know you get into November with Purdue, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa. There's a bye mixed in there, but you can't go 0 for November with Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Iowa. You go 2-1, people will start handing out kisses, clearly. But there's opportunity here, and a lot of Nebraska fans are stuck on that 4-win total. Some are saying 5, some are saying 6, and bowl eligibility. And then more of the optimistic Nebraska fans are kind of in that 7 to 9 game window. But when I kind of equate calling your shot, Jimbo Fisher to Nick Saban, that's A&M's measuring stick. They think they're ready to take a step as a program moving forward, and be careful what you wish for, but they're saying, we want Bama. We're going to hand out a beat into Bama. I doubt it. I doubt it. Maybe it happens. That's a tough early game for Alabama. Equating it to Nebraska, miles away as we speak here in the spring from a program like A&M and Alabama. But Nebraska, too, has their own kind of measuring stick. And I think the program's at the point right now where that measuring stick is, all right, start the season 1-0, because that's not been a given, and go get a win against an evil foe and kind of black hat wearing head coach in Brett Bielema that's caused you heartache historically in the Big Ten. Scott Frost was with the network last night, Elijah, and we'll get to more of Scott Frost's comments on how he assessed the spring here in about 20 minutes or so. But the main takeaway I had from Scott Frost last night, with those 2 spots they have remaining on the roster, is it going to be a quarterback they go shopping for? And Coach Frost kind of reinforced to me that he doesn't need to add a quarterback to that quarterback room. I think they were really very surprised and kind of wowed. My words, not theirs, but I think they are impressed with where Harburg is at. And I think they believe in the work that both these kids will put in, Smothers and Harburg, when it comes to between being ready for action in August and just kind of leaving spring football. And Nebraska's kids get back to work. I mean, they have 10 days off between now and when they've got to report. And then they'll do 4 weeks beginning May 17th. And then they'll have a week break. They'll do another 4 weeks. There'll be a break. Then they'll get back into it. Nebraska gets to start camp early because of the Week 0 start against Illinois. But I think there's enough to work with both of these quarterbacks. Elijah, let's just say things go sideways and Adrian gets hurt. Are you going to find a better option in the portal? And maybe you do. Or, listen, if Adrian goes down, God forbid, why not see what Haarberg can do with an offensive line, with a run game, and knowing that, you know what, he's impressive. He's got some raw tools you can mold. So I'm okay if they're going to stand pat with the quarterback. And I'm not saying Smothers can't make a push, can't keep improving, but from an ability to throw the ball with what they want in this offense, I think you can be okay with what Haarberg brings to the party.
Yeah, and Haarberg, he did miss on some throws in the spring game, but it was a windy day down in the field. I don't want to read too much.
He also made some throws, didn't he?
I don't want to read too much of that, but yeah, what I will say is his arm talent just jumps right off the screen whenever you're watching, or if you're down at the game, it just jumps off the field. In terms of arm strength, he has to develop his accuracy a little bit more, but just in terms of what his arm could develop into, it looks like he's got the potential to have an NFL-type arm. I mean, the one play I look at is he had a low snap, picked up, barely even set his feet, and threw the ball 35 yards downfield, a perfect strike. It hit Xavier Betts in the face mask. He couldn't catch it, but that's the type of arm talent he has that even off a bad base, he was able to just thread the needle with that thing from 35 yards away. I'm really impressed with what his arm could be given a year or two in the system.
If you got to go to the bullpen, Haarberg might be your guy. We'll check in with Derek Peterson next on Hail Varsity.
And we're back
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Back to you. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery here just west of Bryson City, North Carolina. It is just gorgeous. It's a bit chilly and breezy, sunshine. And here, giving some love to Cousin Dino here, Roadshow Friday, as I'm staring out into the field here, kind of at the foothills of some of the mountains here near Smoky Mountain National Park. Cousin Dino's got 3 horses. They are not named Triple Option, Fumblerooski, or Bummerooski, but I'm sure he thought about that as part of the naming for his horses. But no, we're on the road here today. The weekend edition tomorrow morning will also be at Cousin Dino's. You heard him a lot this fall here with his Pick'em segments here during the fall. And we are here to give him some love and support. He grabbed me as I got in this afternoon, and he did what he always did, and that's, you little punk. He was there with a smile. Let's bring in a guy that makes you smile when it comes to Husker football coverage. We welcome in the good Dr. Derek Peterson with us, HailVarsity.com and magazine, and Dr. PDHV on Twitter. Derek, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Sounds like you got a little bit better view than I do, but I'm doing good. It's Friday.
It is a Friday, yeah. The view's fantastic. I have I won't tell you what's in it, but I've got a mason jar in front of me, so it's all good right now, man. It's all good. A lot to cover, a lot to get into, and we were talking about this to get things kicked off in the first segment. And I'm interested in your take, and it's so early to do this, but we're gonna anyway. And I'm interested your thoughts. You know, if you're picking a Nebraska game to circle this year, not a game that Nebraska should win, but a game that Nebraska needs to win. And I'm not making it easy for out of sheer laziness, but to me it's absolutely get out of the gate with a win against Illinois. That's what I have circled. We'll see what the rest of the season looks out for Nebraska. We'll get into some of your thoughts and takes from the spring game, but what team or what game do you have circled here way early here in May?
Can I circle a couple?
Yeah, you do too. That's fine, man.
So I agree with you. They have to get out of the gates with a win, come out strong. That's kind of, what you can say about any team, any given season, though, if the team wants to have success that season, unless it's like Alabama playing, what would have you, Ohio State or something like that, one of those big showcase
Right.
games. So Illinois, obviously, they would need to win. The first one that I'd circle on the schedule is Buffalo. Buffalo's not going to be – they're not going to be an easy out, and obviously Lance Leopold's not going to be there anymore. So the dynamic changes a little bit. But if Nebraska's 3-0 heading on the road to Norman, Oklahoma, that game is probably going to feel a little bit different than if Nebraska is, say, 2-1 coming off of a loss to Buffalo, or if they're 2-1 after losing the opener to Illinois. You're just going to feel differently about the team. Oklahoma might feel differently about the team. Nebraska will certainly feel differently about itself if it's 3-0 going into that Oklahoma game. And then the other one that I would circle, is Northwestern for homecoming on October 2nd. If you just look at the way Nebraska's schedule lays out, they close the season Ohio State, at Wisconsin, Iowa. They got to get to, if they want to play for a bowl game this season, then the easiest path to doing that is being 6-3 after your first 9 weeks, first 9 games. So that would mean starting 3-0, or you've made life difficult on yourself, and that would also mean, let's just say that they don't get it done against Oklahoma, which is what everybody is expecting to be the end result. Then you go on the road the next week and you play a Michigan State team that's still rebuilding with. Now I'm blanking on his name. Whoever the coach is that came from Colorado. Now I'm blanking on his
Mel
name.
Tucker.
Mel Tucker. Thank you. You are 4-1. If you beat Northwestern, you're 5-1. You only got to get one more win over your next Michigan, Minnesota, Purdue stretch. So you're feeling really, really good about your team. Let's say you go 2-1 during that Michigan, Minnesota, Purdue stretch. You're feeling really, really good about your chances to take one or possibly more off of those last 3 games on your schedule. So Northwestern, to me, becomes the swing game. And, in seasons past, Northwestern has been a major problem for Nebraska. Obviously, the history between the two programs, it's always a close game. Northwestern, I feel like Northwestern in a lot of ways this season, for Nebraska specifically, is going to signal what kind of team it is, what kind of team this Husker team is, because even though the pieces are going to change out, and I don't expect Northwestern to be as good as they were a season ago, it's still going to be a Pat Fitzgerald coach team, which means it's more likely than not going to still be a fundamentally sound team that makes you beat them by not making any mistakes. And Nebraska has lost a ton of games over Frost's first 3 seasons because they've just made a ton of mistakes, be it penalties, be it turnovers, be it running out of bounds and stopping the clock, what have you. If you beat Northwestern at home, homecoming, before playing Michigan, then to me it would signal that this is a Nebraska team that has actually made progress. This is a Nebraska team that's actually trending in the right direction. And then you're feeling really good about your last 6 games on the schedule. So you're either, you're talking about potentially 4-2 or 5-1 at that point, something along those lines. So I'd circle Buffalo and I'd circle Northwestern earlier in the season as indicators of what's to come.
Derek Peterson's with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Derek, you mentioned, that 6-game mark, feeling good about the team, but just after the first 3 games, you just know that if the Huskers start off 3-0 going to Norman, Oklahoma, that there's going to be some hype around that Oklahoma game. So what are the signs that Husker fans can watch for in those first 3 games to see if this team has made progress from last year against 3 teams they're really favored against at the moment?
You're not going to learn a ton playing Fordham. That game should be blowout city with third stringers playing in the fourth quarter. You're not going to learn a ton from that game. You can probably learn a little bit from the Buffalo game. Illinois on the road, Big Ten play right to start is going to be a nice test for this team. One of the storylines of spring, one of the narratives coming from the program was that they covered a lot of ground. They made a lot of progress in terms of physicality up front on both sides of the ball. It's Illinois. It's not like you're playing Wisconsin or Ohio State to open, but it's still Big Ten play right out of the gates to open the season. And so that kind of physicality is going to be tested. They're going to have to they're going to have to come out of the gate strong. They're going to have to be clean and be fundamental. And so I think we'll learn a lot from that first week. I expect Nebraska to win that game, and it would be it'd be a problem if they didn't. I would think.
Dr. Petey, it'd be a monster problem. Like, grab your hard hats and protective gear if they don't.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the one. I think that's the one that's going to teach you a ton about the team and, potentially signal how that Norman trip is going to go. Because that Norman trip is going to go. I feel like there are two scenarios that Norman trip is going to go, and one of them is not very good.
So where are you taking? Let's just get this thing out in the open. We're RVing down to Norman with Uncle Andy. We're going to buy some wine from Switzer. Where are we going to dinner? Norman's your town, brother.
We'll do the Mont and we'll get some swirls.
What's that?
Margarita, frozen margarita, my friend.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
Can we bring Barry with us?
What they're known for. We can bring Barry. We can bring Bob.
Okay.
See if Lincoln wants to join. Get the whole gang. See if Scott.
While we're at it, let's just get their quarterback blasted the night before.
There you go. Get sent to jail too. Get the pot closed down. It's a good establishment. It's a good place.
I bet. Norman's awesome. Love the town. Derek Peterson's with us, HailVarsity.com and magazine at Dr. PDHV. Derek, last thought here, bud, before we say goodbye. Really enjoyed your column here post-spring. HailVarsity.com is where you read Derek. But just kind of follow up here on some of the mailbag, about 90 seconds. A better offense in 2021 looks like what? Let's take out turnovers. Let's take out false starts and harming yourself. What element of the offense do you feel good about looking, air quote, better for this upcoming season to make it, kind of a breakthrough opportunity?
I mean, I think the offensive line will play better. How much better will make or break the offense. I've been consistent with that all spring, all off season long. I think it has to start up front with the offensive line. If they're going to be a better, vertical passing game, it's because they're also a better traditional run game. And to be a better traditional run game, they got to be better up front. And to have some of those long developing downfield shots, they got to be better blocking for Adrian Martinez. And last year they weren't very good protecting him on standard downs. But you referenced my column. I think Cam Jurgens can have an all Big Ten kind of season. I think he can. I think the next step for him in his progression is becoming one of the best centers in the conference. I think that's absolutely on the table for him. So we'll see if that can happen this season. But the offensive line for me, that's where it's got to start.
Love it. Derek, we'll get caught up next week. Thanks for taking time and spending time with us today, bud.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
All right, there he is, Derek Peterson. Get his podcast downloaded, subscribe to it. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. The Varsity Club is must listen to, and Dr. Petey drops that every Friday morning. A slew of wonderful choices with Hail Varsity, Greg Smith, the Straight Up Breakdown, Brandon Vogel, the I-80 podcast. Aaron Sorensen does an amazing job, and of course Jacob Padilla, fantastic. He gets caught up on all the prep action with Damon Benning. So something for everyone. And choices for all Nebraska fans. We'll hear from Scott Frost, his appearance on the network last night. Some thoughts on where the team is post-spring. We are on the road today here doing a show for a man we love, and I love, my dad's cousin and our cousin Dean Schmidt. We're here in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains here at Casa de Dino. We'll trek forward here, hour 2, hour 1 on Hail Varsity.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. On the road today here, Smoky Mountain National Park, in the kitchen of Cousin Dino, roadshow from Cousin Dean Schmidt's house. and excited to check in with Bill Doleman. He sat in yesterday while we were traveling. And the Pride of Fairbury in about 20 minutes. Sit down with Eric Warfield, Hall of Fame Husker and 10-year NFL vet with the Chiefs and Patriots. Get Warfield's take here on just where Kansas City went with their draft picks, with their off-season acquisitions, what it takes to make a squad. Remember, Warfield was a 7th-round guy that not only made the team in a loaded secondary for Kansas City with 3 Pro Bowlers, but he also got a second contract, and it was a nice contract through his hard work. So Eric Warfield with us, get his take on Husker football as well. You can find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, at Hail Varsity, at Herbal Essence for Elijah's Twitter handle, and at ESPN Lincoln. Going to jump into some of the thoughts Scott Frost had. And here was Coach Frost last night, and a couple of our affiliates here with Hail Varsity obviously have the Husker Network, News Talk 900, and, of course, our friends out with ESPN Superstation. So here is Coach Frost recapping spring ball as he kind of looked over what went on, and it was an extremely physical practice.
Well, we made a decision, first of all, to work them really hard. We didn't get spring ball last year. We didn't get summer with them. We didn't get a fall camp with as many contact days as normal. And we got a lot of young players that need that experience. And they could have benefited from it last year, but we certainly wanted to get them that experience and refine them. So we felt like we were making up for lost time a little, and we worked them hard, and we had a physical spring. So I was able to see that happen for 14 practices before the spring game. We've improved in a lot of areas. We're by no means all the way there yet and have work to do. But I think probably the biggest area I saw improvement was just the physicality, particularly up front on both sides of the football, the way they were finishing and coming off the ball on offense and fighting and getting to the ball on defense. Certainly other areas have improved a bunch, but I think we made big strides up front on both sides.
So that's kind of reiterated here just how physical Nebraska was this spring. And, Elijah, that's important because you're going to need to match the physicality not only week 1 against Illinois, but also, week 11 against Wisconsin, week 12 against Iowa. But Nebraska's not lacked in physicality. Last year, they got better 2 years ago. But for a long time, man, teams in the Big Ten, once you'd punch Nebraska in the face, they'd fold. This is post-Pelini. That was the rep. By the end of that 2016 season, I know it was Nebraska's last 9 win. You remember that Iowa game. Nebraska developed the wrong type of reputation, and it's been a lot of work getting it back. But you got to, especially with the fact that Nebraska's, listen, they're going to dial back how much contact you can actually have, and you might as well get it in now, and hopefully it'll last with the guys because you'll need to bring it with you to Champaign.
Yeah, and physicality is the most important thing that Scott Frost can bring to this team just because, look back at the successful Nebraska football teams. Every single one of them has been the most physical team on the field in pretty much every game they've played during that season. And the last time I can think that happened where Nebraska out-physicaled every single team on their schedule, off the top of my head, 2009, I think, is the last time with that defense led by Ndamukong Suh. And Nebraska probably isn't going to be the most physical team in every single game they play this year, but with the way the defense sets the example and the improvements that we saw in spring ball up in the lines of scrimmage, I think that they should be more physical than most of the teams on their schedule this year. And if they aren't, there's a serious problem just in terms of culture at the University of Nebraska. Based on what Scott Frost has been emphasizing for this team for 3 years in terms of physicality and getting bigger in the weight room, they need to be the more physical team in almost every game they play this year.
It comes down to their mentality. They can put all the time in the weight room. They can get bigger, they can get stronger, they can get faster, but it kind of comes down to their mentality. Are they going to accept someone pushing him around? Are they going to accept someone making a false start? Are they going to accept a fumble? It comes down to their own attitude and their own treatment of how they go about fixing some of those issues. More from Scott Frost. Let's skip over to the running back comment here, Elijah, specifically with the running backs and the fixing that needs to go on, and the coach confident that that'll be a better situation here as you get closer to fall.
Year one, Divine kind of came to the top of the pack, and he really had a good year for us and was reliable and quality to superior Big Ten back, in my opinion. Since then, we just haven't had anybody that we can count on playing and play out completely. This year, it's still going to be interesting. A lot of those guys, I think, have the capability of becoming that back, including a transfer that we didn't get to see a lot of in spring because of an injury. But we need 2 or 3 guys to come out of that pack and be guys that can carry it 20 or 25 times. And we'll continue that competition through fall camp.
That's Scott Frost on the running back situation. Let's kind of add to that. The name of the spring was Jaquez Yant, and Yant has been high level. He's looked good. He's also been available. More from Frost on Yant.
Yeah, we're excited about Jock. He has a ton of talent. I think his knowledge is catching up with his talent. I think the biggest thing he needs to improve on is making sure he knows the schemes and does the right thing on every single play. And when he does that, he is as talented as anybody we have.
That's where a lot of the running backs are at. And my question here is, what's the gray area of doing a lot of things really well, but still not 1,000% perfect? So is that going to keep a guy off the field, Elijah? Is that going to keep somebody? Okay, so pass pro is a weakness for pick-a-back, but damn, he's great on the zone read or the outside zone, or his hands are phenomenal. I think where the coaches get into trouble, they're worried about telegraphing what they want to do when a certain guy is in. So obviously you want a well-rounded guy to be able to be in and do it all and do everything. And right now that's a hard ask with a true freshman in Gabe Irvin, who may be your best, and also a guy in Yant that's trying to get better. They'll work to get better, but man, I think you got to kind of roll with what you have at a running back, and maybe not let it deter you from keeping a guy that could be a difference maker for you on the field, watching if he can't do it all to your liking.
Yeah, but the problem in the Big Ten is that if a running back or if any player in your team has deficiencies, by week 4, week 5, these teams that you're playing are going to have seen that in film, and they're going to go out and target that. If they know that a guy is bad in pass protection, they're going to be sending blitzes because they know either this guy's not going to pick it up or it's going to be a run play and they're going to run right into our blitz. So while early in the season those deficiencies might not be clear, as the season goes on, you need to become well-rounded, or else these Big Ten teams, these Giants, Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio State, they're going to target those deficiencies. It's
a telegraph, that's for sure. We'll wind down hour 1 here from Cousin Dino's. It's Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time this hour, Hail Varsity Radio Roadshow Friday. We're here at Cousin Dino's here in the Smoky Mountain National Park, just on the foothills of it, and out here to see Cousin Dino and be with him. So I was blown away. My brother is getting ready at spaghetti, and he pulled out a big old, just a pot to start doing some of the noodles and sauce. And I said, did you use a razor to slice the garlic? And he just kind of looked at me and was like, huh? I'm like, dude, Goodfellas. He's like, I haven't seen it. My brother has not seen Goodfellas, and he's making spaghetti and meatballs right now, and I'm appalled. So tonight, after we get done with the Friday edition of Hail Varsity Radio, we will have to get some Goodfellas going. I should. What'd you say? You'll fall asleep by 8 o'clock. I might fall asleep by 8 o'clock. Yeah, we got to keep making some of these Mason jar vodkas. Anywho. He's not seen Goodfellas, and I can't believe that. But I did show him the scene where Paul Sorvino's thinly slicing with that razor blade the garlic. Elijah, help me out here. You've seen Goodfellas, and you're only like 22, right?
Yeah, I've seen Goodfellas. I love the mafia movies, but I do have one confession to make, and that is that I didn't actually see Scarface for the first time until like Sunday night.
That's okay.
I loved it though. Great movie.
No, Scarface is. You've seen Scarface, haven't you? Yeah, many times. You've seen Casino, but you've not seen Goodfellas. That's correct. That is an error, especially when you're cooking spaghetti. But it's okay.
I mean, in my opinion, Goodfellas is up there with like The Godfather in terms of mafia movies. That's a great movie. It's great. It's
awesome. Henry Hill used to live in North Platte, Nebraska, and be the air quote chef at the Firefly Inn. Good old Henry Hill. So, reminder about moving. If you're in Nebraska, your friends at West Blue Realty make that happen for you. Kelly Hofschneider, Tom Luby do an awesome job. You're looking for that residential home in Lincoln. They specialized as West Blue Realty. They specialize in surrounding areas and home sales in Lincoln and surrounding communities. So you mentioned Hale Varsity. For a limited time, they can provide you up to $1,000 on the closing of your next home purchase. Tom Luby at 402-540-3768 or Kelly Hofschneider, 402-202-2312. It pays to work with West Blue, 1120 K Street, Suite 200. Let's get a qualifier in right now. The ESPN Memorial Day kickoff. That gets you a grill. That gets you a gift card, $100 gift card to Campbell's Nursery and Garden Center, and a $100 gift card to Leon's Gourmet Grocer. And the grill is an E210 gas grill from Capitol Patio and the Flame Shop. They also are going to hook you up with some Capitol Patio rub and also a grill. Caller 9 right now, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Caller 9 qualifies now for the ESPN Memorial Day kickoff. Qualify now, caller 9, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Caller 9. Yes, I just did, Uncle Mark. Yes, I did. All right, Bill Doleman, Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, back-to-back days with Billy D. Eric Warfield, Hall of Fame Husker, longtime NFL vet with the Chiefs and Patriots. Next hour, it's Hale Varsity from Cousin Dino's.
To Hale Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hale Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Back with you, Tower 2 at Hale Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. We're here west of Bryson City, North Carolina. It is a beautiful region. Smoky Mountain National Park, just off. It's about a Sam Cooke punt away from here, as my brother, Uncle Mark, is putting the sauce in now with the meat. And or the gravy, as Uncle Junior would call it. And he has received backlash via social media and personal texts for not seeing Goodfellas. And right now he is just telling me to mind my business. But he needs to keep stirring the sauce, keeping with this Goodfellas theme. We welcome in the Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, Bill Doleman with us, and he was awesome to do the show yesterday. Billy D, good to be with you. Thanks for your time yesterday. Awesome stuff. How was the reunion, my friend?
Just spell my name right on the trophy for the performance yesterday when the I don't know what they give in radio, the Marconis.
The radio Heisman is the Marconi, yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So just spell my name right on the trophy, and we'll be good. That was fun. It was great to talk to Tom Chattel and Mike Riley, of course, and reminisce about deadwrestlers.com. We didn't get a chance to talk much about the Hallmark movies with Riles. I know that's a popular subject with him. Perhaps we'll do that at another time. But we were already talking about an Average Joe Sports Show reunion at some point during the course of the summer to bring in the whole gang and maybe invite you.
Well, I know if it's an Average Joe Sports Show reunion, I'm stuck back in the studio running the board. That's how it should be. So that's okay. But Too Many Steel Chairs to the Dome.com was also a fun wrestling site that was referenced quite a bit as well.
Yep, absolutely. That was always good summer fodder when we ran out of walk-on defensive backs to talk about prior to the start of fall camp.
Well, and in Babcock, man, Mike is all. He still loves it.
Without a doubt. Yeah, absolutely. Bring back Jim Rosales and Gary Novotny. I mean, we'll just get the whole gang in there.
It'd be all good. And we are in Ric Flair country. I mean,
that's right.
We are. So I did have a cup of coffee with Charlotte Flair. I was hoping she'd put me in the figure 4, but she never did.
A boy can dream.
A boy can dream for sure. So when you do sauce, when Bill Doleman makes spaghetti, do you do what Vinny did in Goodfellas? Do you add a little bit of pork with the ground beef to add, as Vinny would say in that memorable prison scene in Goodfellas, to add, no, that's where the flavor is the pork. My brother's doing dinner tonight. God love him. It's awesome. We're out here at Cousin Dino's. And he revealed in an honest moment he has not seen that movie. I said, hey, do you need a razor blade and some garlic? And he just looked at me funny, Bill.
Well, I thought I took a double take when I thought I heard you say that leading into this segment, that your brother has not seen the movie Goodfellas, which I think really would bring a room to a standstill, which reminded me of the time that in a pub outside of a castle in Shannon, Ireland, Dirty Nellies, I ordered an O'Doul's, which pretty much brought the Irish pub to a complete standstill. I mean, literally was like the guys walking into the Dexter Lake Club in Animal House.
Right.
And
we were going to die.
I ordered an O'Doul's. It was pretty much like that the whole place came to a stop. So I don't know which is more negligent, me ordering an O'Doul's in Ireland or your brother not watching Goodfellas. Either one's a standstill. That's a showstopper.
I'm gonna stick up for my brother here and say the not seeing Goodfellas is okay compared to you ordering an O'Doul's in Ireland.
I learned my lesson that day. It was also the day that began now what will be a lifelong love affair with a pint of Guinness.
Absolutely.
So, it was the same night, and that also stopped the place too, because after being denied an O'Doul's and nearly being run out of the country, I said, okay, I'll try a Guinness. It was the first time I'd ever had one, and it was like, whoa, slow down, Captain. And so anyway,
that is fantastic, Bill. Some takeaways. You were a ways up.
Let me add this. Hold on. So I go to the spring game last week. Now, along this theme of the Goodfellas and the O'Doul's in Ireland, so I go to the spring game. I go to Memorial Stadium, one of the cathedrals of college football, any sporting venue that there is in the world, in my opinion. So I'm thinking, all right, when in Rome, Lincoln, do what you do, right? So I got a runza, okay? And I got a slice of Val's pizza. So, I mean, I'm loading up, and I'm thinking, all right, I've got the trifecta because I'm going to order the Fairbury brand hot dog. But I look, and to my horror, I don't see Fairbury brand hot dogs on the menu. It's Wimmer's.
Right.
Now, I know that Fairbury sold to a company in West Point several years ago. I get it. All right, still hurts, but I understand now that company sold to some place in Illinois, which last I knew is not Nebraska, and now they've completely done away with the Fairbury brand hot dog. So the label. So I was hurt, and I talked to God, prayed about it, and God said that's a hard pass. We're not going to do that. So we had the Runza, and we had the Val's Pizza. Now, a lot of people talk about, Well, like metaphorically speaking, you don't want to go to Washington, D.C. to see how the sausage and the hot dogs are made. You don't want to go here and see how the hot dogs and the sausage are made. In Fairbury, that's a fourth-grade field trip, all right? So we saw how the hot dogs and sausage were made, all right? That's
there
how we
goes
got to
Arnold
see
the family pig.
We got to see some parents during the day. Hey, it's the fourth-grade class from West School coming in to see how the sausage. We saw it. For everybody else, that's a metaphor. For us, it was a way of life, and to not see it on the Memorial Stadium menu was a little disheartening. But we got over it. Well, no, I haven't gotten over it, obviously.
Next time, I will get some Tommy Boy Fairbury brand dogs, throw them on the grill for you. We almost kind of hit the whole tour. I mean, you had the food, you had the stadium, you had good weather, which you brought with you to check the spring game out. Now we got to get you to our friends at Lazari's. We got to get you to our friends at the bar, and we got to get you to our friends at Duffy's to complete.
Keep making trips back.
your journey. Well, I'm going to make it happen one way or the other. And I will say this, dude, you are a lifesaver with the adventure of finding Schmidt's phone. Now, Coach Brett, Timmy B, and Nick, we went back, gloved up, ready to dumpster dive to find my phone. But you and I are watching the Kentucky Derby after the spring game, and some old boy who'd had too many rum and cokes put his hands on my phone and my phone in his pocket, and that was disastrous, man. I was melting down. You had to console me.
Yeah, it was an ugly scene. And I questioned what was actually in that guy's pocket based on what you described the condition of it after you found it. But nevertheless, it was nice to know that again, if you're looking for an honest person, you go to Nebraska, the best people, and obviously somebody who had too many Elk Creeks or whatever's somewhere decided, you know what, this isn't mine, I'm going to turn it in. So God love him, but I certainly hope you had that thing cleaned thoroughly.
It's been hosed down. Bill, a thought with spring football, your takeaways, what'd you like? Are you going to be screaming, bring that trophy back to Lincoln?
We talked about it yesterday with Tom Chattel, again, one of the great columnists in the country, not just locally. And I thought, now granted, I was sitting in row 1 million, seat 12, next to God. But I thought Nebraska looked like a college football team, and I thought that they're starting to fit the suit again. I think Zach Duvall has done his job to get those guys looking like a Big Ten team, like a Nebraska team used to look. I didn't get the sense that they didn't look soft, because I tried to watch the line play. And I was reading some Facebook posts after the game, and former Huskers, a Facebook friend, said that Nash Hutmacher looks like Christian Peter. And my first thought was, yes. My second thought was, yikes, because having gone through that era. But if Nebraska can start to get that kind of player with physicality, a little nastiness, but I think that's the step in the right direction. But for me, after the touch football in the first half and all that, it just looked like that is a Nebraska football team physically. Now they've got to translate that into execution. They've got to have the mental acumen to go with that. But I was impressed, and I've been reading a lot about running backs. I thought for the most part, while we don't have what we had back in the days where every year there was that guy, it was the Weebacks, it was Derek and Calvin, it was Lawrence, it was Amon, Ken Clark. There was always one guy. I'm not sure we have one guy, but I get the sense that there are 2 or 3 of those guys that can play. I thought Urban was really good. I thought Yant was really good. So I'm not as worried about running back as I have been in the past, because it just seems like there are good options there now. And, there's that word option. But I really think that they've got some options at running back, as opposed to just putting somebody in there or making Wan'Dale Robinson at 5'8", 160 do it. I think they actually have running backs now. And, again, maybe that goes with the physicality I was talking about. But that, to me, is very promising and should take pressure off of Adrian Martinez that he doesn't have to be the guy either.
Yeah, Bill, promising is the right word for the running back room. But I want to go to this other side of things. What position group are you worried about now that you've seen the spring game going into 2021? It's hard to make those judgments off of one glorified practice, really. But we know from last year that the receivers really held back this offense, or at least in my opinion, the receivers held back the offense. So which position group do you think, if they aren't performing up to snuff next year, could be holding back this team from achieving its goals?
Well, I didn't see a whole lot in the special teams punt offensive line.
Oh, no.
So they seem a bit invisible to me. I'm going to be honest with you. Quarterback. I think Martinez looks good. I thought Harburg looked good for a kid who should be, getting ready to go to prom or whatever they have this time of year. Yeah. The one thing I noticed about Harburg, I think every play that he ran, other than the last one, went to the right. I mean, that guy was right-handed the whole time, and the only way he was going to get to the west sideline is if he ran out the northeast exit and ran around the stadium and came back through the west side. But I think he looks good. But again, what's the depth at quarterback? I don't think it is as bad as it was. I think Martinez freshman year when who was it? Andrew Bunch or something was the top backup, and then you got the Vedral kid that came in for a year. I thought that solidified it a little bit. You had McCaffrey last year, where you didn't feel like there was a ton of a drop off. But let's face it, you've got inexperience at the 2 and the 3 spot, and that's a bit of a concern. Martinez has to be healthy, so that's on the offensive line. That's on that group of running backs. Those guys have to be able to carry the ball with some efficiency and to hold on to it so the pressure isn't on him that he's got to run and can get hit. So Martinez has to stay healthy. Everybody knows that anyway. But who's the 2 and the 3? So if you're talking about groupings, it's quarterback.
Fair enough. Now, that's okay to be concerned about quarterback based on Coach Frost's comments last night. Doesn't sound like they're going portal shopping, and I didn't think they would anyway. And I commend them for wanting to develop what they have, but I think they're pleasantly surprised with what they have in Harburg, and that's fair because they didn't get to see him throw in person. I mean, you're kind of going blind here with what you see on film versus what you evaluate in person. If, God forbid, if Adrian, and we were talking about this in hour one, if Adrian gets dinged, which has happened, you know what? Are you gonna find better talent further along than Harburg? Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe you just roll with Smothers or Harburg or Masker.
Matt Masker.
Wherever you want to go. But I mean, God forbid if Adrian goes down and he's not able to come back, and this is all worst case scenario. You throw Harburg in there, you lean on the O-line, and you try and run it, and you manage him with a passing offense he's capable to execute. I mean, I think that's the route you go.
Hey, look, I remember in 1992, a freshman came in and took over the starting job like Game 6, and things turned out okay. I'm not saying that Harburg is the kid from Florida, but I think that is something that Nebraska has to be concerned about, is how that depth is going to develop, how much they can in their 7-on-7. Nobody can watch drills during the course of the summer. The thing that troubles me really about the whole conversation is, and this is just an old man talking, is he going to go to the waiver wire? Let's call it the transfer portal. But is Nebraska going to go to the waiver wire to find somebody who's floating around who couldn't make it at Central Michigan? That to me is just so antithetical to what college football used to be. And now you're looking for, somebody who's out there, a quarterback mercenary, to come in for 4 months. That just does not seem to be the way. I get it. I know where we are, but come on. We're thinking about going to the waiver wire to find somebody who was a backup.
Yeah, to develop. Bill Doleman's with us. Billy D, we're up against it. We'll catch up next week. Thanks so much for everything this week, partner. I appreciate you much.
And thank you very much. I hope things are going well with the family out in Carolina, and go Big Red.
All right, there he is. Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman. Here at Cousin Dino's out in the Smoky Mountains. Eric Warfield's next.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Again on the road at Casa de Dino. We're here at the foot of the Smoky Mountains, just a bit to the west here of Bryson City, North Carolina. We welcome in one of our favorite Kansas City Chiefs, Hall of Fame Husker, Eric Warfield, back with us. Warfield, how's the short game? How's the tee box? How's the spring been treating you?
Hey, so far so good. You know, my game is I've invested in a new putter. It's actually taken a few strokes off of my handicap. So it's amazing that you could spend so much money on this stuff, though, and think the entire time that it has nothing to do with your game. But
Warfield, you can buy game, brother, and I have found that out by using some of my dad's clubs. He had spent, let's just say a small fortune on shooting 85 or 90, but he felt better about it. And it doesn't lie, man. It's your concentration, but it's the confidence, right, in that new putter.
It is, and it's I told myself I would never pay $500 for a Scotty Cameron. I'm like, if I'm not good at putting, what good is a Scotty Cameron going to do for my game? But I went ahead and fell for it, and I don't know if it's a mental thing, even though I do think that most of golf is based on the mentality that you have going into it. Mm-hmm. It's not physical strength, nothing to do with that. It's 100% mental from one hole to the next. But it is taking a few strokes. It is actually taking a few strokes off my game.
Eric Warfield's with us. Now, tell me who is a either former teammate at Nebraska or in the NFL that thinks he's great at golf, that you're just like, yeah, bro, let's go play golf, and it's going to be a payday for you.
So a former teammate from the Kansas City Chiefs that I enjoy playing with is Dante Hall.
No.
Dante is actually pretty good. But we have our moments when we play together and we play against each other. I don't consider myself very good. Dante is very technically sound. Now, he just gets into his head a bit and kind of loses it. But, overall, he's a really good player. We kind of go back and forth with who wins. So that's the one that I have the most fun with. Now, in Nebraska, oh, man, I can't think of I know Tommy's pretty good. God, what's Jay last name? Jay Foreman is really good.
Yeah, Foreman can swing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I played with him in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and he was averaging low 80s to high 70s. So, but what's the defensive end name that's actually tried making an amateur tour?
Oh, Jay Moore. Yeah.
Jay Moore. God,
Jay's a real good partner at Hail Varsity with us. I mean, so yeah.
Yes.
Jay's money.
I played with Jay before, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah, he crushes everybody, man. You want him on your team.
He's just so technically sound.
Yeah, and he kills it like 600 yards off the box.
Oh, I know. Makes it all short.
Well, it's all good. Warfield will swing the clubs, and I'll bring my Monopoly money to pay you. All right?
Let's do it.
All right. Eric Warfield's with us. So I got to ask you, what'd you think here? We'll start off with some NFL. What's your takeaway with Kansas City here? I know they didn't have a ton of picks, but, man, they went shopping for that offensive line kind of reboot. We know how Tampa kind of did Kansas City dirty in the Super Bowl, but do you feel like Kansas City did what they needed to do here so far this offseason?
You know what? With such an embarrassing display in the Super Bowl, of which I don't think anybody had a clue that it would turn out that way. I'm talking about anybody. Mm-hmm. We made the necessary moves in the offseason to, yes, upgrade the offensive line. That's number one. I love the pick on Orlando Brown coming from Baltimore. But also with Tooney, Long, Creed, and all these other guys that we've kind of bulked up the offensive line with. We've considered Patrick Mahomes a Brinks truck. You know, he's our ticket. He's our bank. So we have to protect him at all costs. And if I wouldn't have been upset if they had spent the entire draft at picking offensive linemen and backup, because that's the one thing that really hurt us going into that game was not having a backup guy with the experience for that kind of a moment. And Tampa just completely exposed us. But with the draft, I was also excited. You know, we got the linebacker from Missouri, Bolton, yes.
Yeah. No, he's great.
I love his play. Yes, love the way he plays. And it reminds me a lot of Levante. He's not a very big guy, but he has a knack for the ball. He's making plays in the secondary. He's making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He gets skinny getting through the line, so he has that playmaking ability that we need on defense. We haven't, to me, of all the positions, I think we've gotten some guys, defensive line, defensive ends. We got a high-pick linebacker. We've gotten some guys in the free agency market for the secondary. We haven't solidified the offensive weapons as far as, losing. Oh, my God, I'm sitting there giving brain farts. The guy that we got from Buffalo.
Is Watkins? Is that what you're talking about?
Sammy Watkins. Yes, couldn't think to save my life. But, yes, but losing him, I think that, having Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, and Patrick Mahomes is enough to get you through a lot of games, get you a lot of wins. But you need another guy that can hold down the fort, that can be a go-to guy. And Hardman, Robinson, those guys haven't really proven that they are worthy of that starting spot. But going into the this not rookie camp, but OTAs and the summer, there's going to be a battle at who's going to be that next receiver to step in and to make to add to that firepower that we already have with those three guys. So we haven't gotten a big name receiver to come in to kind of complement Tyreek Hill, and I'm just hoping that Hardman is the guy. I think we kind of gave him a few chances last year, and he didn't really step up.
Eric, I want to backtrack just a little bit because you called the Super Bowl loss last year embarrassing, and I just want to assure you that as a Broncos fan, it could have been a lot more embarrassing.
That was, you know what, I kind of felt the same way because the way things kind of went with us was you're talking about Peyton's first Super Bowl, right, when the ball just snapped over his head and everything just fell apart.
Yeah, I think I forgot everything about that Super Bowl, actually. It's been wiped from my memory.
Yeah, that was bad, and I remember that. Oh, yeah, that was embarrassing also. But for us to have such a high-powered offense, to not be able to score one touchdown, and I'm not saying Tampa's defense is the best that we've ever seen, but to hold us to no touchdowns, yeah, that was completely unheard of.
Eric Warfield's with us, Hail Varsity Radio, Hall of Fame Husker and many-year vet in the NFL with the Chiefs and the New England Patriots. Eric, what's Dicaprio Bootle up against when it comes to making a roster? Of course, Dicaprio, you followed him in Lincoln and was a free agent signee by Kansas City. A lot of great film on Dicaprio. What did you go through, Eric, as a late-round guy, not only to make the team, but you also got taken care of by the team, earning that extension with the contract. So take us through your experience and also what's the word of advice out there for late-round guys or free agencies or undrafted free agent signees, because there's 53 spots, man, and the more you can do, the better. I get that, but it's got to be a grind.
Oh, 100%. And so the thing with me going in was playing safety my entire career, from Little League, high school to college, and all of a sudden I got to make this dramatic move at playing corner, of which I had never had to cover anybody one-on-one before. But taking it in and just wanting to live in the moment and be in the moment, I did whatever it took. And so when I first got there, I met Andre Rison. And Andre said, the first thing you need to do is you need to hang out with James Hasty and learn everything he knows. Because you're a big corner. James is a big corner. He's the guy that's going to teach you everything that you need to know about this position. James wasn't a friendly guy, though. So it wasn't like I could just go up and be like, hey, man, I'm here to try to take your position, so can you teach me what I need to know? It was more so, I'm completely lost. As a rookie, I love this sport, like, love it to death, and I need to learn this position. I need any help that you guys and any advice you guys can give me. And this was in the meeting room. And so with that came, you had 3 different Pro Bowl cornerbacks that I had to learn from. James Hasty being the bigger one. Mark McMillan, small, but would jump every single route that you threw that was underneath. And then Dale Carter, who was just this freak athlete. So I had to take and learn from each and every one of these guys. But within that, I had to get to know these guys. And I got to know these guys on a friendly and a family basis, to the point to where when it came down to training camp, when it came down to preseason games, I had these guys to vouch for me as, hey, coach, this is the guy that's putting in the work. This is the guy that's putting in the time. He's going to be the guy. So when it comes to cuts or when it comes to playing time, I got these other guys that are speaking up for me. But these are also the same guys that are kind of coaching me and helping me along the way. So within that, I don't see a lot of older guys not wanting to extend a hand to help a younger guy and to at least make the team. That was one thing that I did every year. I wasn't concerned about losing my job, but I was always helpful to the guys that needed the help, that didn't know certain drills, that didn't know certain coverages, that didn't know what to expect from the coaching staff, that didn't know what to expect from practice or games. So I didn't mind helping those guys along the way. My thing was that as long as I took care of myself and my body and knew what I was doing, I was always going to hold down my position. They brought in corners every year, and none were able to take my job. But I was not one of those to say, hey, I'm not here to help you earn this money or earn my spot. You got to put that time in yourself. And so there's guys that are like that are willing to put that time in to help those young guys. And with somebody like Bootle, who has a lot of talent upside, I hope that he's able to go in and to earn a spot on the roster. We had a couple of guys over the years with Kalu and Chris Jones and the guy out for the Jets.
Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar, who also kind of earned a spot on the roster. So I love to see guys that come up out of the Nebraska and end up on rosters and contribute more so than just being on a roster.
He's in his 30s, but sounds like he was born with a stogie in one hand and a brew in the other.
Now, say my name.
It's Schmitty on Hail Varsity Radio.
I got the body of a taut, preteen Swedish boy.
Eric Warfield's with us, Hall of Fame Husker, Hail Varsity Radio. His story, not only making the Chiefs and thriving for the Chiefs, but also the backstory of getting that vet info, that vet advice, and then also paying it forward. I can imagine, guys, you work your whole life to get into this position. It's cutthroat because it's so limited. Your contracts aren't guaranteed. And then you mentioned a guy like James Hasty. Eric, how were you able to connect, or was it just your actions that really kind of made the case for you with guys willing to help you?
So I was a nice guy. I've always been considered a nice guy. Even during my time in college, I think I was able to hang out and get to know almost every individual within that team. And I was kind of the same when I got to Kansas City. I'm just one of those that's easy to talk to. I'm not a one that's going to talk crap. If I get a good hit on you, I'm probably going to help you out. Mm-hmm. I'm not one to sit over you and get a good hit on you and just yell at you and talk crap to try to hype myself up. And so that's one thing that Hasty kind of noticed. He was like, man, you can't be that nice out here like this. You're out here trying to earn a spot. And so it was him trying to change me from somebody that I kind of wasn't. And I remember at practice, as I said, Andre Rison was the first guy to kind of talk to me. So at practice, I jammed Andre Rison at the line of scrimmage, and like it was a jam to where he almost fell, and he got pissed at me. And so Andre was like almost ready to go, like ready to fight, until he kind of noticed who it was. It's like he had one of those moments where he just kind of got out of it, and then he had snapped back. Like, man, this is practice. And so my thing was like, yeah, it's practice, but I'm trying to earn a spot. You got a name and you got a spot. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get there. And so I had kind of got this little, spark under my butt from just a small conversation with James Hasty. But then all of a sudden, I couldn't do everything that James did. I had to learn some things from Dale. I couldn't do everything that Dale did. I had to learn some things from Mark McMillan. And so with all these three guys, they kind of showed me a way of playing the position to where it actually, along the road, got me a starting job and a new contract.
Eric Warfield's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. That's really cool. So could Bad Moon fight or not?
I'm not. I could never say he couldn't fight because we never had a scrapping moment. It was one of those where he kind of, I don't want to say blacked out, but that's kind of what it was. He didn't realize who it was that had hit him, and so he kind of snapped and was ready to go. Now, I do recall an incident to where him and Deion Sanders got into a fight in a game. Now, that was a scrapping moment, so that I didn't see that in real life. But that was I wasn't expecting it, but yet it opened my eyes up to some of the things that were to come within the NFL.
That's pretty good. I remember that. You had Deion with the Niners and Andre with Atlanta.
Yep.
After Deion left Atlanta free agency, and yeah, they were just like smoking each other, and then just like kind of posing after each would throw a
exactly.
punch. That was pretty good, and I declare a no win for either because it got broken up. But somebody should have let it kept going. Eric Warfield's.
You know what? I don't get it. Like guys are trying to fight when you're wearing football gear. You're going to sit there and punch a guy in the head and break your hand. You're going to punch him in the pass. You're not going to feel anything. So what's the? I get it. You're frustrated at the moment.
Yeah.
But yet you're going to cause more damage to yourself than you are to him.
Well, you got to go the old Danny Noonan route and rip someone's head off and use it on them. Like you did.
That's true.
Warfield, I got to.
Though.
Well, yeah, sometimes you just kind of turn your back and let it go, right? Eric Warfield's with us on Hail Varsity. Eric, want to get your take on Nebraska spring football. I know it was spring, but Coach Frost, man, it was a pretty physical camp, and that's good. How do you feel from what you've observed or what you've heard moving forward here? You all right with the quarterback spot? I think the secondary's pretty experienced, although they're trying to find a replacement for Bootle. Overall, what's your takeaways from this spring?
I'll tell you this, as a proud alumni, I will never go into a season without high expectations. And mainly for the kids, mostly for the overall university. For what we did, I don't compare anything to what we had back then to what the kids have now. And I hope that each and every last one of those kids goes out and gives the best effort that they can to prove that they belong in that Husker uniform, wearing that helmet. And so with that being said, I'm just as optimistic as anybody else. Whether it was a bad spring game, a good spring game, I'm always optimistic about the season. I still like the coaching hire of bringing Scott in, his staff, the guys that he's brought in so far, and what they can do for this team. Now, as things start to show themselves during the season and either go one way or another, that's neither here nor there for me right now. I'm just one of those that's optimistic. Whether we lose the first game of the season or win it, I'm still looking forward to the next and what we can do to get this team back on track.
Eric Warfield's with us, Hall of Fame Husker. Eric, real quick, about a minute. Do you think Adrian can kind of turn that corner?
I think he can. For me, I know I said it the last time on one of the takes that we had, that it's kind of mental with him. And if he gets out of his own head, he can actually be a really good quarterback. Guy is very talented, and it's just that, if when he sees the move and the right play, he makes it. But when he's hesitant is when he gets himself in trouble. And I think that's one thing that Scott has to get on him with is, like, if you see the moment, be in the moment. Don't hesitate, and you'll be more successful than what you have shown people that you are. I think he has a lot of talent. A lot. He has a good arm, and he has great speed when he comes to running. But when he hesitates, it causes a whole big pile up of, a mess that, that's not good for the team or himself.
Eric Warfield. Eric, let's catch up when you get back to town. Thanks again for your time and insight on this. Always love getting your take, man.
Love it, man. Just keep in touch.
All right, buddy. There he is, Eric Warfield, with us on Hail Varsity. Good to spend time with a Husker Hall of Famer. That is Eric Warfield. His take on the Chiefs, the draft, the acquisitions, the Nebraska program, and his high level of optimism. Good support there from a Husker Hall of Famer and a multi-year NFL vet. We're here at Cousin Dino's here, just at the mouth of the Smoky Mountain National Park. And we're out here to spend some time and send some love to Cousin Dino's way with family. And we're going to wrap up a Friday edition. Weekend edition is also on the road here from Cousin Dino's. So we'll wind down a Friday with Hail Varsity Radio. Get the podcast. Give us a review. Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play, where you can get that subscription. Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at hailvarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time here out of the Smoky Mountains, just to the west of Bryson City, North Carolina, here at Cousin Dino's cabin. As we are sending love and prayers to him and spending time with him. Hail Varsity Roadshow Friday. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Tomorrow, weekend edition, back at you 7 to 9 tomorrow morning with myself and Mark Kranak. Elijah, you're in tomorrow, too. Are you just spending the night at the station?
I'm thinking about it. I might. I know Damon is walking at graduation tomorrow morning, so I'm going to be running the show because...
So you're letting him put on the cap and gown and graduate? That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about forcing him to come in tomorrow morning, not letting him go. I
made him do the spring game last week, and he about beat me. So
yeah, it is my turn to come in anyway. So I'll be in for the Saturday morning edition. Excited for that, as always. Should be a good one.
Yep. A reminder about buckling up. 70% of people in fatal crashes in Nebraska not wearing a seatbelt. If used properly, a seatbelt can reduce the risk of fatal injury up to 60%. Your best defense in any crash. Buckling up. Brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. My brother, Uncle Mark, absolutely dominates spaghetti and meat sauce. Fantastic restaurant quality. Very wonderful. What's the name of this lake / river stream we're near? Deep Creek is very Carolina, and it rolls through the entire Smoky Mountains. So I will go walk my fat ass around a little bit later after eating the... I'm not going to apologize at all about the fact you haven't seen Goodfellas. That's on you. And The Godfather while we're at it. So, Elijah, should we get caller 9 right now and do one more qualifier?
I mean, the people want it. I've been the calls are going every single time we do this thing. Just the phone bank is just lighting up. We already have a caller in. We haven't even done the contest yet.
Congrats to Eva. She was caller 9 last hour. So caller 9 right now qualifies for the ESPN Memorial Day kickoff. That is a grill from Capitol Patio and the Flame Shop. They'll give you some rub for that meat you put on the grill, and also a grill brush Campbell's Nursery and Garden Centers, they are phenomenal. They will spruce up your backyard with a $100 gift card. And then Leon's Gourmet Grocer. Leon's phenomenal. You need some incredible meat for that grill. That is the third part of this trifecta. You've got the grill from Capitol Patio, the gift card to Campbell's, and, of course, the $100 gift card to Leon's Gourmet Grocer. 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. So get the phone dialed up, get in and be caller 9. Elijah will get you qualified. The drawing for this is going to be May 21st. So be forewarned with that. You do have to be listening to win. And then you'll have about 14 minutes and 80 seconds to call in and claim your gift, your prize with ESPN. Tomorrow morning, 7 to 9, good rewind. Parker Gabriel's going to join us tomorrow morning. We'll also check in with the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp. Podcast will be posted Google Play, Spotify, iTunes. Thanks so much to all of you for tuning in and your well wishes. Hail Varsity, back at you tomorrow.